my role in bringing Pam into our organization was based on previous experience I'd had in a different organization, working with Pam and feeling like the way she was able to bring us together to have real conversations that were really challenging, and address conflict that was in the air but not being named very well, would be a good fit for some of the work we were doing, at the university. So when we came up with some conflict in our department and in our program, I thought maybe bringing Pam in would be helpful for finding a way to work through that.
Yeah, it was, I think, a really great fit for us, and for a couple different reasons. One is we were in a position where we all knew that there was something that needed to be addressed within our group, our faculty, and in our program, but we needed guidance on figuring out the best steps forward, and also guidance and facilitation and how we can all process and move through the experience of restorative and transformative justice, and really understanding the work that we had to do as individuals prior to moving forward, in essentially initiating a truth and reconciliation process, which is what we did. And Pam was really supportive in helping us frame the work that we needed to do in such a way that was accessible for all of us, created space for all of us to feel what we had to feel in order to be able to do that really difficult work of coming to terms with our own biases and our own understanding the defensiveness that can come from feeling like we did something wrong, to a place of authentic accountability, which I felt that we were able to accomplish over the time period that we worked with Pam. So yeah.
One of the things that grew out of learning how to take authentic responsibility and accountability and engage with each other authentically and hold accountability with care, is it really taught us that we can do things differently. We don't have to automatically revert to a punitive model when there is conflict or when there is something that needs to be addressed. And that was really helpful. And I think it really helped us learn how to engage with each other differently, and really engage with, what are the needs that are not being met that need to be met, and how can we figure out how to meet those, and hold each other with care and accountability at the same time.
Yeah, and it actually translated in a more broad way as well when we're talking about not just our group and our program and how we interact with students and ourselves within our faculty, but the work that we did actually set the stage for the entire school to start bringing on some of these modalities for, as Claire said, shifting from a punitive model to a more restorative and caring model of helping people hold accountability when it's needed, and shifting the frame on how we can all support learning about anti-racism and anti-oppression, and making sure that we learn from the spaces in which we may not have the information we need, or we may have made mistakes. And so I think the work that we did in our small program actually has had a lot of ripples throughout the whole school in terms of changing how to do things. So it's been really great to see that.
Yeah, and in figuring out how can we take this model and make it fit into a system that it wasn't meant for, or that the system had difficulty accommodating. And I think that's where the transformative justice comes in, where we're really working on how can we create systems where using a restorative model can be supported. And in doing this work and kind of coming up against those systems where it was really challenging, it shined a light on the fact that those systems really need changing. And, it's a long-term proposition, but I think that initial push against it has really created some desire to figure out what kind of systemic changes might be useful or beneficial.
As I think about what was surprising or what really came forward as having a ton of value in this whole process, I think for me, I was actually surprised to see how far we've come through the whole process, starting at the very beginning where the only ways of being and knowing that we knew were the punitive structures that existed for repairing or fixing harm or impact that's taken place. And we're now at a place of re-envisioning in our program and actually in the larger school of thinking about how can we center those who have felt the most impact from all the structures that have caused harm, and recreate, re-envision, rebuild, restructure our academic program to be a place where people can feel truly supported, and just do things differently. And it's been pretty wild considering we've been able to accomplish that in about 1.5 years, I think was the full time that we took in this process. The other surprising thing for me is that there was so much growth that happened, not just individually, but I think as a team that occurred through this, where we learned how to communicate in different ways. And it really shifted all the dynamics. It wasn't just looking at how to repair harm or how to address impact, how to hold accountability, but there was something more there that actually shifted where, for me at least, it was learning how to hold that care in all interactions and recognizing the humanity of all of us, which I think can get missed a lot, just in the day-to-day grind of the work that we do.
Yeah, I think surprising for me as well is how easily this level of communication and care could translate to how we interacted with our students, as well as each other, and even working with leadership and other people in the school who weren't engaged in the process. We were still able to bring that level of communication and care into our interactions in such a way that I feel like there's impact from that as well. And that was surprising for me. I didn't anticipate that.
Yeah, even in emails from like communication with people who haven't gone through this process, I find that how we interact and how we respond through email actually has changed the culture slightly, where other people are responding now, holding care, holding accountability, addressing impact or calling out impact when they see it in a different way, which is basically sort of part of those ripples that came from the work that we've done. I'm very appreciative of the process that we went through with Pam, and although we have a ton more work to do, I think it set the stage for at least our program being leaders in helping move this forward through the rest of the school and with other programs. So
yeah, I'm not sure how we would have gotten to this point without that support and without that learning that we have with Pam.